Welcome back to What She Said. Healthy living is all about feeling your best. Joining us tonight is registered dietitian and personal trainer Angela Wallace from Eat Right, Feel Right, who says being happy and living healthy is achieved through having a healthy relationship with food. Isn't that the truth? Welcome, Angela.
Thank you. Thank you.
So how do we do that?
Definitely easier said than done. It takes time to get to that point of having a healthy relationship with food, but that would be my ultimate goal when working with clients, is helping them build that healthy relationship with food.
Okay, so describe a healthy relationship with food.
Yeah, that's good. A good question, or hard to describe because it'll be different for each person. But it's being able to kind of have that balanced lifestyle where you can, eat healthy foods, but you can also indulge in cake or different things that we think of as junk, but not feel guilty about it, right? So just enjoying that moment, enjoying that food, not feeling guilty afterwards, and not needing to overeat it either or binge eat or anything like that.
Well, I think there's a lot of emotional eating, and I've always maintained that when I was a child, we had to eat everything regardless. It didn't matter if you weren't hungry. It didn't matter. You had to eat everything. And so then we became impervious. We didn't listen to our bodies anymore. Yes. And I think that's when the whole billion-dollar diet industry started.
Yeah.
Whereas my children have no eating issues at all, but they ate, they couldn't have dessert before their protein and veggies, but they could have it later. I think a lot of it's emotional and stress related, isn't it?
Yeah, I would agree with you. And kind of like what you were saying, that we're not really good at regulating our hunger anymore. I talk about that a lot, rediscovering your hunger cues. So infants or young children are amazing at it. We are born to know when we're hungry and when we're not. So for parents, this is challenging sometimes because, your toddler one day will want to eat a lot of food, the next day barely touches all their meals, but they really can tell if they're hungry. Whereas an adult, different things come into play. Your environment growing up and what your parents reinforced is one of them. Just social triggers like children eating at school or being around friends. A lot of us meet over food. Like, let's go for a coffee. Let's go for a drink, some dinner. So that reinforces eating outside of hunger as well. And then the emotional eating comes into play for sure. So just our hectic lifestyle.
So your basic approach isn't about restricting or starving yourself, but eating the right types of food. So how do we teach ourselves about that?
Yeah, and the right types of foods will be different from person to person. But I always say start with not restricting yourself. So I tell people, if you're working with me and you feel like you're on a diet, then I'm doing something wrong. So please let me know, because I don't ever want people to feel like they're dieting, because that might work for a short period of time, but definitely not in the long run.
Well, what I'm hearing from you is that people do have different appetites, different timing. But for example, I've never been a breakfast person, so I can go all day and then I want to eat about 4 o'clock. But I ended up with very high insulin levels as a result.
Right.
So you can't always rely on what your body is telling you.
Yes, I would agree. I hear similar things, people who are like, I can go all morning without having breakfast, but there's tons of research to show that breakfast is really important. So I always urge people, even if you're not super hungry at that moment, at least have something, whether that be a fruit, a yogurt, small portion of something that gets your metabolism going and helps kickstart your day.
So what's a myth that you run into a lot about dieting and healthy eating?
A lot of people have a misconception about eating in the evening. That would be one of them. So that you shouldn't eat after a certain hour. So I've heard 7 p.m., 8 p.m., late night eating. And I always tell people it's not the hour of day that you're eating. It's the
calories in, calories out. Right?
And it's the overeating, right? So if you've eaten all 3 meals and snacks throughout the day, breakfast, lunch, dinner, and then at 10 p.m. you're searching the cupboards for those extra calories, then that might lead to gaining weight over time. It's the overeating, or why are you eating in the evening? Is it more emotional related?
Or boredom. I've had people say they eat out of boredom.
Yeah, exactly. Boredom, cravings, there's all sorts of reasons, but people are usually not super hungry in those late hours. It's eating for reasons other than that physical hunger.
What about cravings?
Yes.
That was a knowing yes, Kate.
Yeah, their cravings tend to be the hot issue with most people. They tell me, I'm just craving sugar. I'm just craving certain types of food. And it's challenging, and I have different strategies around that. One of my most common ones I use with people is like a distract and delay strategy. So telling yourself that you can have that item, let's say ice cream is what you're craving. I can have it, but I have to wait 20 minutes. In that 20 minutes, I ask people to distract themselves with something that they enjoy doing, whether that be reading, playing with their dog. I don't know. I don't choose it for them. They choose what they're going to do. But the idea is distract and delay so that there's a little bit of a disconnect between that instant gratification of, I crave something and then I get it right away.
Now, you also say that many people don't realize that nutrition can make all the difference when trying to prevent or treat chronic diseases. Give us an example.
A healthy diet can really influence how you feel, both on the inside and outside, and it can help prevent and treat these chronic diseases. So there's tons of research. Actually, recently on Medical News Today, they put out an article that was done by a Spain research group that shows that eating breakfast actually helps reduce your risk of heart disease. So people who had a high energy breakfast compared to those who skipped breakfast or had barely anything to eat in the morning had, I think, less risk of developing heart disease.
And I'm staring at Christine because we're still trying to get her to eat breakfast.
No, I do, but I'm not hungry.
Right.
I'm trying to eat it, and I do eat it, but I'm not hungry. My body doesn't want anything.
Yeah.
And it hasn't changed, right? No, I'm not waking up starving. I'm
You're just not hungry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My ideal would be to eat at night and then just keep eating until I fall asleep.
So you work with people to help them get better. So if I came to you, what would we do?
I always start with an initial assessment. So I ask people about their regular routines, diet, physical activity, kind of the whole picture, medical history. And then from there, I kind of decide what type of approach I might take with that person. Sometimes I offer meal planning. So I actually sit down and make a meal plan for someone based on what I think would work for their body. Other times I get them to create, small goals that they're going to work on. So, for example, someone like yourself, Christine, who might not enjoy breakfast, I might ask you to, try something small in the morning. And usually I let the individual come up with what they're going to try or their idea, because it tends to work better if it comes from the person. Yeah.
So what is like an unhealthy habit that we could stop now to help us get on the path to healthier living?
Can I give you two?
Sure.
Yeah, you can give us 5.
One is try not to eat while distracted. So I think we all do this now. I do it myself, check emails, eat lunch, search through social media. When we're doing that, we're really not paying attention to how hungry or full we are. It often leads to overeating and just takes away the enjoyment of food a little bit, because you're not really saying, oh, this is really good. You might be like, oh, this is good, but I'm responding to an email. And
right. So focus on our food.
Yes.
Yeah. Mindful eating then.
Mindful eating, yes. Exactly. And then the second one would be don't drink your calories.
Oh, yes.
That's just a big one. So anyone who comes to me who's trying to, lose weight or get healthy, automatically, if they eliminated some pop they're drinking or, the big lattes that are sweetened.
Or wine.
Yeah, wine, unfortunately, would help with those goals.
But chocolate's okay because it's a food group, right?
Yeah.
What
they say chocolate comes from a plant, so
yeah, I know.
It's a vegetable.
What about water?
Yes, water is extremely important, making sure that you have enough each day to help you, feel full and satisfied all day long.
Absolutely. Now, where can people find you online?
My Instagram is eatright_RD, and my website's eatrightfeelright.ca.
Angela Wallace, thank you very much for joining us tonight.
Thanks for having me.
This is what she said. Stay with us.